Professional sales script. Review intake form to rule out need for medical referral and look for signs of acceptance/denial of loss. What you have noticed about your hearing. 2. Elevator speech. 3. Visual otoscopy. 4. Explain the audiogram to patient and third party. 5. Test hearing involving third party. 6. Determine if loss is identified. You have a significant problem with your hearing. Why haven't you done something about this sooner? Wait for a response. Mr. Jones, your problem is in both ears. The good news is that you have no medical issues with your hearing. This comes naturally with age or noise exposure. This is not something medication or a procedure can fix, otherwise I would be referring you to a physician right now. 7. Present high-frequency emphasis word lists without hearing aids, cover mouth. I am sure you can't look me in the eye and say that you aren't seeing signs of your problem every day. Is there anything I have told you today that you don't agree with or haven't seen? 8. Demo hearing aids with word list, quiet/noise. 9. Explain results with demo aids in ears confidently. Say, wouldn't you like to hear this well all the time? 10. Present solution, handle objections, execute contract. Professional sales presentation. Purpose of this presentation. By following this presentation, you will have eliminated, uncovered and addressed most typical objections. The reason it works so well is that you are not responding to questions. Instead, you are addressing the most common concerns in a proactive manner. This will help you to avoid sending selling signals and make you much more credible in the mind of the patient. Introduction 1. Remember, there is a difference between caring and chatting. In order notes, 23. To give your patient the best experience, try not to engage in small talk. Stay focused on your presentation. You only have a limited period before the strength of your presentation diminishes. Question: what you have noticed about your hearing. 2. Review intake form and look for A. Admission of hearing difficulty or signs of denial. B. Anything that might require further exploration to rule out medical conditions. 3. Elevator speech. Keep in mind your age in comparison to your patients. The only way to establish and maintain authority with patients when you're the same age as their grandchildren is with knowledge and the right approach. Develop and practice your personal elevator speech to highlight here's who I am, title, degree and experience, this is why I do what I do, here's who we are, the practice, here's why you are in the right place. A sample transition statement used to introduce the elevator speech would be, let me share some information with you that patients new to our practice would like to know. 4. Otoscopy. Conduct a visual inspection of the ear canal to rule out impaction. Otoscopy. Conduct a visual inspection of the ear canal to rule out impaction. 5. Impedance. Let the patient know that this test will help determine the need for a medical referral before you start. 6. Explain the audiogram before test. Explain the audiogram to the patient and the third party before conducting the hearing test. Draw lines on the audiogram form at 20 decibels and 80 decibels. Above 20 decibels, write OK. Between 20 decibels and 80 decibels, write needs help now. Below the line at 80 decibels, insert a question mark. 7. Conduct air, bone, speech. Make sure the third party is seated near you while you conduct the test. As you begin to plot the results, you should be able to determine if the third party is going to be supportive of the patient getting help with amplification, or an obstacle. If they appear supportive, say, Mrs. Jones, I'm going to help Mr. Jones, but we need to work together. Ask them to follow your lead. 8. Test results. At this point, move to where you will conduct the demonstration. A. If your test indicates normal hearing, provide the good news and ask for a referral. B. If the patient has a loss, say, Mr. Jones, you have a significant problem with your hearing. Create a sense of urgency. Be firm in the fact that you are not going to tolerate being told, I don't think I have a problem. 9. Always ask the following, I have a question for you, is there any particular reason why you haven't done anything about this sooner? Notes, 24a. Response, wait for a response. The statement in question will bring out not only the patient's objections, but also their concerns. B. Understanding, once they respond to the question, understand that you have put them on the spot. Now, bring them back into the fold. Say, you are not alone. Some people wait as long as 7 years before doing something about their hearing loss. 10. Audiogram results. This is straightforward. Explain, your problem is in both ears, if applicable. The good news is that you have no medical issues with your hearing. This occurs naturally with age or noise exposure. This is not something medication or a procedure can fix, otherwise, I would be referring you to a physician right now. If third party is not present, and one exists, this is the point at which you would reschedule with that third party for a future hey. 11. Unaided speech test. After the hearing test, some patients still perceive that they do not have a problem. After all, in the booth, they heard the beeps. Let the patient know that you are going to ask the third party to read a list of words to demonstrate how this type of hearing loss can have an impact on them in the real world. Have the third party cover their mouth so the patient cannot rely on lip reading. I would like to conduct another test now, so that we can see how you are hearing in a live situation. The booth is not our normal listening environment, so I want to give you a word list and see how well you hear the spoken words. Use high-frequency emphasis words. If the hearing is normal at 1K and 2K, or a mild loss, you will need to use background noise to realistically simulate the problem they are encountering. When the patient gets a word incorrect, the provider should pause and repeat the word. Once the word list is complete, you can let the patient know the results. Mr. Jones, I have seen everything I need to see, and we can all see what is going on here. We presented underscore words and you only answered underscore correctly. Provide %. In fact, I noticed that even with the words you got correct, you are still struggling. The statement you must make is, I am sure you can't look me in the eye and say that you aren't seeing signs of your problem every day. This approach should make the patient realize that you are not going to accept the silly excuses they have been using up to this point. In many cases, it will bring the third party into the conversation in a positive way. The idea behind this approach is to deal with any notes, 25 mental baggage the patient may have prior to the hearing instrument demonstration. You already know how to deal with any negatives or objections. The key is to realize which point during the presentation is the most effective, and this is it. 12. Involve third party. A. You will then turn to the third party and say, Mrs. Jones, quite often it is the person around the patient who notices the problem more. Please tell me what you have noticed. B. Follow this with, is there anything I have told you today that you don't agree with, or that you haven't seen? In a majority of cases, the patient will agree that everything you have said is in fact happening. 13. Demonstration. Explain that the only potential solution for their impairment may be the use of hearing instruments. Tell them, we are going to set these hearing instruments in accordance with your hearing loss. We will now see if we can help you to hear well again. This is a very important step. You must understand that you are dealing with someone who has been in denial for the last 7 years, and he or she has finally sought your help. Now, you are asking them to spend thousands of dollars on hearing instruments. The patient deserves the demonstration. Without a demonstration, you are not providing the patient a sense of what they can expect. It would be quite a leap of faith. A. Aided word list. When the devices are set, you should once again have the third party read a list of words to the patient. Determine if you should add noise based on the type of hearing loss. Compare the results with the unaided test. B. Hearing at a distance. As a further demonstration of benefit, we can also have the third party ask questions from a distance. At some point, we can even walk out the door to the hallway. First, this allows the third party to see how easy it is for us to converse. Second, any emotional baggage or denial the patient may have had is lost in the moment of hearing easily. We can also ask questions that, while they may appear to be merely small talk, provide us with valuable information. Oh, how long have you been retired? Oh, where did you work? Oh, what did you do for a living? Oh, do you travel/vacation much? Oh, what kind of car do you drive? These types of questions provide a profile of the patient's lifestyle and habits. They also establish how to deal with objections to price-based information using facts, not assumptions. These answers will provide you the link between the needs of the patient and the benefits of the device. They will also establish what price you should present for the technology. Remember, you will enhance this person's quality of life with amplification. Notes: 26. If you have proceeded with a hearing aid evaluation for a patient unaccompanied by a third party, why? Ask questions like, oh, do you live alone? Oh, do you have any children? Oh, do you see them much? We are trying to establish whether the patient consults with anyone before making a decision. Again, what we are trying to do is to find answers to questions that could never be included in a case history, in order to provide the best solution for the patient based upon their hearing loss and lifestyle. If you consistently receive objections such as, I want another opinion, or I want to talk to a family member, or I can't afford it, You are missing a step or doing something wrong. 14. Buying indicators. Once you have demonstrated clear benefit, it is important that you convey confidence and enthusiasm toward the solution and the improved hearing you have just let them experience. At this point, we always ask, would you like to hear like this all the time? They will most likely answer with yes, which puts them in a yes mode of accepting help psychologically before you discuss money. This also indicates if they are leaning toward buying. After they answer yes, we say, I can understand. You are active, you are healthy, you are sharp mentally, and you have been torturing yourself for no reason because you could have addressed this problem some time ago. The good news is you can get help now. That is what you are here for today. Follow this with, the way you are hearing now is exactly how you should hear when you pick your hearing aids up. If not, you do not need to accept them. This is the only reference to the trial period. In fact, it has been proven that most people actually hear even better once they have worn their hearing aids for some time. Before you leave today, we will set up an appointment within the next 4 days for you to come in and be fitted with your instruments. 15. The close. The price is $5,200. This is what I recommend to most of my patients. Even though we have instruments priced as high as $7,000, I believe that these are the best for you. In fact, these are what most of my patients wear today. The company requires a down payment of How do you intend to handle the payment? How do you intend to handle the payment, check or credit card? Once the patient agrees to purchase, this is a perfect opportunity to discuss the CHHC/rewards program. Remember, too many choices result in confusion and indecision. Overcoming common objections along the way, you may still have to respond to any preconceived notions or objections. One of the most common side effects of hearing loss is indecision. As the expert, you must convey your confidence in the importance of seeking help now. I can understand your hesitation. I have seen this many times before. However, in my experience, once patients experience the benefits of better hearing in the real world, they tell me they cannot believe they waited so long before getting help. In general, objections are often nothing more than a need for clarification. Make sure you understand the real objection by generally responding to objections with questions, rather than reverting to selling mode or providing a feature puke about the product or your practice. If the patient asks, what is the difference between $5,200 and $7,000? Answer, there are some technology differences, but before we get into them, is $7,000 an option you would consider? Ask this before you explain the difference. Oh, remember to close. If the patient says no, they will not consider $7,000, assume that they have agreed to $5,200 and say, okay, then let's get started with my recommendation at $5,200 and you will be delighted. Oh, if the patient tells you that they will consider the $7,000 option, but they still want to know the difference, explain the difference and close again. For example, this is a device that provides great performance in noise reduction and sound quality, for those that want the absolute best. Make sure the explanation of the difference focuses on the benefits to the patient, not features. If the patient says, $7,000, I can't even afford the $5,200. Reply, if the solution at $5,200 does not meet your budget, we do have another option at $3,800. If they ask, what is the difference between $5,200 and $3,800? You can say, politely, respectfully, I'm confused. I thought you said that $5,200 is not an option for you. No matter which option we fit you with, I am confident that you will hear much better than you did before you came in. Let's get started with the $3,800 devices. You will be delighted. Avoid using terms such as mid, premium, entry level, compromise, give up. Generally, you do not even need to mention the manufacturer or product name. Some additional objections you may encounter include 28 notes. I have a friend who only wears one hearing instrument. Oh, always focus on the positives. If the concern is that they know someone who uses only one hearing aid, explain to the patient how much better they did with 2 hearing instruments when you introduced background noise during your conversation. I know somebody who bought hearing instruments and never wears them. Oh, if the concern is that the patient knows someone who hates his or her hearing instruments, explain that it is unfortunate that someone who needs help is not getting it. However, the policy of your practice is that if they are not completely satisfied, their money will be returned. Therefore, this unfortunate situation cannot happen to them. Always try to have a third party present whenever possible. This generally provides you with an ally who can often make the sale for you. It also eliminates the objection, "I need to talk to my spouse." Oh, you can include the third party in the discussion. For example, you could say, "Mrs. Smith, wouldn't you like Mr. Smith to hear like this all the time?" One of the best ways to get the third party in is to tell the person when they are scheduling that the audiologist likes to use a familiar voice in the testing process. Cost is one of the most common objections you will encounter. Let patients know that hearing instruments are expensive, but well worth the benefit. It is generally best to have some type of financing, payment plan, available, as most people would benefit from it. They cannot bring the money with them. One of the most common objections is, "I want to think about it." Again, in many cases, you can avoid this situation by having the third party present. Oh, reply, "Mr. Smith, the fact that you need to think about it indicates that you still have questions." What are they? The reason I ask is that I want to make sure I explained everything to you. Your hearing loss did not happen overnight, and it is not going to get any better if you wait. I would like to get you over the hurdle and get this started today. You should hear as well as you did during the demonstration. If you are not hearing better at delivery, you do not need to accept the hearing instruments. After demonstrating the amplification, the best thing to say is, "My feeling is that if you could hear like this all the time, it would make a significant difference in your life. Why don't we start this and take in the impressions, since this should have been taken care of years ago?" If they still have a rebuttal, you may ask whether you answered all of their questions and whether they still have a concern that you did not address. You are obviously hearing much better, you must have some other questions. Oh, if they still want to think about it, point out that the problem did not happen overnight and that waiting will not make their hearing any better. Being honest and talking to them like you would to your parent or grandparent in a direct approach can often be the best way to deal with the situation. "Oh look, no one is breaking down our door to get hearing instruments. But they can make a substantial difference in both your life and your family's." Let patients know that you appreciate their concerns and offer encouragement. We should stress that if they are not hearing better when they come in to pick up the aids, they do not have to accept them. It does us no good as audiologists to have patients out there with our hearing aids if they are not using them, or if they are stuck in a drawer. Always get only 3 no's. After the third, back off. You do not want to offend the patient. Let them know that you will still be here if they decide to address their hearing later. Stress the service aspect, rewards/CHHC. This can often set you worlds apart if they are shopping around. Tell them, "It is my personal policy to call all patients with a loss who can benefit from amplified selling scenarios. Thank you, I want to think about it." Alone, no third party. Oh, is the only reason you are not going to correct your hearing impairment today because you want to think about it? Yes, that is understandable. This is a considerable purchase. However, I'm sure you have been thinking about this problem for some time. There must be something I have not explained clearly, because you are hearing so well now, and most people cannot wait to hear like this. Why are you hesitating? I just want to give it some thought. You have answered all my questions. Oh, fine, then let me suggest that we get this started and you will be able to see for yourself in 1 week. Sometimes the hardest part of my job and your decision is to get off the fence and get started. Let me do something good for you today and take in the impressions. Thank you. I want to think about it and talk to a third party. For example, spouse. Oh, I understand, Mr. Jones. This is a considerable purchase, but do you think your spouse would be against this if she saw how well you are hearing? Her concerns are probably one of the reasons you are here today. Why don't we get this started? In the meantime, you can call her and we will be sure to set up the fitting for a time when she can be here. We would like to think about this and get back to you. Oh, I understand that this is a considerable decision. However, you should not put a price on your hearing. I am going to allow the two of you some time to discuss this while I service a hearing instrument. I will be right back. Leave room and return after giving them a few minutes to discuss. I can appreciate that you would like to think about this. Is there anything about the decision that I have made unclear or have not covered? My concern is that you are hearing so well now with help. It would be a shame to put this off, Mr. Jones. Ask third party, wouldn't you like to see Mr. Jones hear like this again? My suggestion is that we get this started today. You will be hearing for yourself in a few days. I would like to talk to my doctor first. Oh, I understand. However, our audiometric evaluation clearly 31 notes demonstrates that there are no medical indications. It is simply nerve deafness. Upon reviewing this evaluation, your physician will concur. Let's get this started, and I will forward our findings to your physician for his records. Besides, I am sure he or she will be delighted to know you are able to hear well again. That is a lot of money. Note, if you hear this objection, you have likely missed a step in the process. Oh, I understand that this is a lot of money for hearing instruments. However, you are hearing so well that it is too precious to put a price on. If I could fit you with them less expensively, I would. Good, bad or indifferent, this is what a hearing instrument costs. We have other options that can reduce the cost significantly. I am confident that you will hear better with any of our solutions. Let's take the impressions and get this started. 32 notes, TNS follow-up. Hello, this is Dr. _ I am calling because it is my personal policy to get back to all of my patients. At your appointment, you described issues with your hearing and we found there was hearing loss. I am concerned about you because most patients who do so well with help as you did in the demo are anxious to get started right away, yet, you were hesitant. Can you please tell me how you feel about getting help now that you've had some time to consider it?